Excellent,
All
excellent,
right.
good.
Thank you so very much. I know you have a lot going on. And as you said, you are traveling today. So we appreciate you taking the time out to hop on a call with me. And I know with everything going on, you were the first person I thought about, and the timing is perfect for us to get together and have this conversation. Okay.
Definitely.
So let me go ahead and welcome my audience first. This is season 3, episode 2 of Real Talk Houston with Carlotta B. And I just want to welcome everyone that's joining us, and also welcome everyone that will be catching the show later on all the other live streaming platforms, and because they were not able to join with us currently at the 7 o'clock hour. And I also want to mention that the show today is sponsored by Otha's Pastries. That's OTHAS Pastry. And he's on Instagram, and his delightful sweet treats are absolutely amazing. So definitely you guys go check him out. And again, he is our sponsor for today. Okay? So thank you so much, Otha's Pastry, for sponsoring today's show. Okay, so let's go ahead and welcome and let the people know who you are. This is James Guillory, you guys. I have with me today. He is a family man. He is a successful hotelier. And for those of you guys who don't know what that is, he's a successful hotel owner. Okay, and he's also an entrepreneur in his own right in some other areas outside of the hotel industry. And he's also a candidate for 2024. He's going to be in the election in 2024 on the ballot for Texas State Representative for District 131. So go ahead and give us a welcome, Mr. Guillory. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad to be back, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me back.
Last year, you guys. Last year, what he's referencing is we did an election series last year, so we covered a lot of different areas relative to the Houston community and Texas in general that need to be addressed. So we're hoping that this year, when Mr. Guillory is on the ballot, that we'll pull out a win. Yeah?
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Yes. So tonight, guys, I know Mr. Guillory is wearing multiple hats. And I just want to ask you one question just to get this started.
Sure.
Why have you chosen politics as one of the areas that you're so passionate about? And give us a little bit of background on why, briefly, you're seeking office in 2024.
You know, I ran for this position of state representative for the first time in March of 2022. So it's been a very short year so far. And it's my first time running for office. And my ultimate goal and reason for doing it was not so much to go into politics. It was, how could I best give back to a community that's done so much for me? I grew up in the Hiram Clark community, went to James Madison High School, Dolly Middle School, Hobby Elementary. My family has grown their business since 1974 in this community. I was able to start my business in 1999. I love the community and still have a home here. And I just wanted to see the community of South Houston grow and prosper and progress like I see in so many communities I'm able to work at and do business in and travel in. I just think there's so much more that we could do. And I really would like to give some of my expertise, ideas, suggestions, experience to this position and make sure we bring some bills and laws and changes in our community, in our city, in our state, that's beneficial to those men and women, young men and women, veterans, seniors that are in our community that really need that benefit and that strength and that and someone to really stand up and speak on their behalf who's been there, done that. For them.
That is wonderful. We definitely need that. We definitely need that. I know you talked about last year when we did the election series, and we talked about all those different areas, the schools, the crime. Which one of those are you most passionate about? And I know there's a plethora of things that we need to address in our community and in the state of Texas, but give me the 2 things that are at the top of your list, and then we'll talk about all of that coming up.
I would say the top 2 would be at my list would be education and housing.
Okay.
I believe one, housing has become so expensive.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately it's out of reach sometimes for that young man or young woman just coming out of high school, coming
Mm-hmm.
out of college, starting a new career. It's really challenging.
Yeah.
I really believe there's been so much put in place from a federal level, from a state level, from a local level that has trickled
Mm-hmm.
down financially into the cost of housing. And at the end of the day, the bill belongs to us, the citizens.
Yeah.
And we are really overburdened by the cost of housing. So we really
Yes,
got
we
to
are.
address what's going in to causing that cost of housing to escalate annually by over 20% when
Yeah.
people's income is not increasing at more than
Exactly.
4 and 6% a year. Something's wrong there. And we've got to dig down deep into the numbers. We
This
got
is
to find out what's
correct.
going on and fix it.
That's correct. Yeah. Not only is housing going up though, and we talked about this before, but the car prices, all of our necessities, the groceries, our bills. A lot of
Definitely.
people are complaining about their electric bill has doubled, their gas bill. A lot of people have a gas bill that's like $20, and now it's 60, 70, 80. So anyway, we definitely
Yeah.
need you. So
And,
if you can
and,
do
and on
anything when you
on
get in
that,
office, we're
I,
waiting for you.
I will. I will do it. And I'm going to say also the second piece is education for me, top of my priority list.
Right.
And I mentioned this when I ran for state representative the first time.
Yes.
And let me tell you, we are really under fire right now on our side of education. You
Yes.
you called me. We talked a little bit about what's going on right
Yes.
now with HISD. That was one of the things that I highlighted in my campaign last year
Mm-hmm.
was how many schools we have in my district alone, of District 131, that just weren't passing the grade to send our young men and women out in the world, in corporate America, as young professionals. Do we have we, what we well preparing them
Yeah.
to be able to survive and prosper?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I got
Right.
I got to tell you, I took my time to attend multiple school board meetings, at least about 7 or 8 throughout the past year and some in the early part of
Yeah.
this year. And I got to take my hat off to our new superintendent, Millard House, and his staff, and that new leadership. I really think that they were doing a very good job of advancing us forward and progressing us past where we've been
Mhm.
the past decade.
Yeah.
It really hurts my heart to see that the state has decided to step in the way they wanted to step in.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe this is a great opportunity for the state to look and say, this group has already been making progress. They have some good qualified leadership here. We need to come in and see if there's something else we can
Yeah.
add. Sit down at the table and say, what's going right? What can be improved upon? What's
Yeah.
going wrong? What are you doing about it? And here's our idea for what we feel should be done.
Yeah.
But for you to wipe out a group that's making progress, that has been elected by the individuals in this community,
Yeah.
I think that's a move that is a big mistake. And I
Yeah.
really wish they would really check themselves and recognize you don't have to make a statement with a child's education. Come in and work with the people in place that are
Mhm.
doing a good job and making progress, and let's progress
Yeah.
forward together.
Yeah. So I know, and it's all the buzz right now about what's happening with TEA. So
Yes.
the TEA commissioner, that's the Texas Education Agency, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The TEA commissioner is Mike Morath, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly,
I
Mike
believe
Morath.
that's correct.
And
I believe that's
basically what
correct.
they're supposed to do, the TEA, is to oversee these primary and secondary public education within the state of
Mhm.
Texas, right? And then also help deliver education to, they have more than 5 million kids in
Right.
under the TEA for Texas.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of
Yeah.
kids to have in your hand, over 5 million kids. And this is one of the biggest takeovers, according to the news. This is one of the biggest takeovers ever. Okay.
Ever.
And I
Ever.
saw today that they announced, and this was maybe 3 or 4 hours ago. I think it happened late afternoon, but today
Mhm.
they announced that the Greater Houston Coalition Justice has filed a lawsuit against the TEA for discrimination on behalf of HISD. So this is
Right.
something new that has just happened today. So Greater Houston Coalition Justice filed a lawsuit against TEA for discrimination, and they're filing that lawsuit on behalf of the HISD. So, as we peel away those layers tonight on what's happening, it's just, it's a lot. And I have a few people that have reached out and contacted me via my direct message and given me their opinions. And I have people that are for it. I have people that are against it. I had a Houston principal of one of the HISD school districts reached out to me. HISD schools reached out, and she said she's for it, but the timing is bad. I'm not quite sure what that meant, but that was all that was in my DM. And then a few teachers reached out to me, and they were talking about how some of the schools are really in need of help, and that they're just really underperforming. So with all that being said, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Again, how do you feel about the HISD takeover, and do you think it's the right move?
I also, throughout my campaigning in early 2022 and throughout this year, throughout the rest of 2022, even once the primary was over with, I knew I could not leave this, I would say this access to this relationship and all the people who I made contact with. I still could work within this community, whether I was state representative or not. And I've met with the teachers, I've met with the coaches, I've met with the leaders of music departments at these high schools and junior highs. And you're right, many of them talk about things that they are really challenged in trying to accomplish through their programs and through their apartments and in their classrooms. So that's a definite. They do need a lot of help. They do need the support. They do need the proper funding that is meant to go to them, come to their schools so that they can do their job and provide those students with the proper education that they need. So in total agreement with that. However, I'm going to go back to say that I made a point also to go to those school boards and see that school board in action and see that leadership with our new superintendent that came in a little over, I believe, a year and a half ago, and how he and his staff came with just great plans and strategies to really zero in on the problems and some options for some solutions, and then bringing it back to the board and then working together to implement them. And you can't fix a problem that's been going on for decades in a year and a half. You just can't do it. If they're making the progress in certain areas, let them continue making the progress at that. Once again, we can always push for stronger progress if we can do it faster. And if the state wants to help with the funding, I believe we're all for it.
Definitely.
But I believe those men and women in that position were working hard and diligent for the students and for the teachers and for the parents. And I believe we all, as parents and citizens in this community, need to come together and need to be a part of this process, no matter which way it goes. We need not let someone outside come in and take over and decide the fate of our schools and our children after this is over with.
Well, as you stated, this is not something that has happened overnight. This has been going on for a while, and PEA has been threatening since 2019 to do something about this. So, in all fairness, the school system, the HISD, and the districts have had fair warning that they need to get it together, because TEA has been making threats. They're actual threats to do something about what's happening in these schools. So with that being said, I mean, it's not like a surprise factor. Like they popped up one day and said, "Hey, we're taking over." It's been, it's been out there for a while that these schools aren't performing up to par. As far as accountability for that, do you think it falls on parents? Does it fall on the teachers? Does it fall on the leaders in the community? Does it fall on the mayor? I mean, where is the problem? Where's the gap? Why has it gotten this bad to this degree?
Well, I'm going to say that it really falls on all of us. And I really would start with the politicians too. we have to remember not to come together just when these devastating problems come about like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from our state legislators, from our city council members, to our commissioners, to
Yeah.
our superintendent of schools. You know, that was one of the things that I spoke on a regular basis while campaigning last year was it's time for us to come together and sit around the table as leaders in our different capacities and talk about what are all the things that we can do in our different capacity to make our students and our schools more successful. They are our future.
Yeah.
They are the reason we're doing what we're doing. Many of
Right.
us, like myself, listen, we've got a career. We've got many of us, some of us, children out of college.
Right.
You know, we some of us, and bless God, are really able to do well, but we need not forget those who are still in need and those who are coming behind us. So I believe when it comes to the politicians, our civic leaders, and I got to tell you, I believe our parents and definitely our retirees are one of our biggest assets that can help turn this thing on its head.
Yeah.
Because those retirees who have the time, who have been educated and skilled in certain areas, we need them part-time some way, somehow, back into that nucleus of our education system in our schools. Those young men and young women who are definitely in high school too, you know, there's just so many of them, unfortunately, are coming up in households where they don't have really good representation or mentors sometimes. And even if they do, there's so much more that they can learn from good, honest community citizens that are out there that are willing to share what they're about, what they know about, and what they can help where they can help them advance. So it really is. The teachers, I'll say again, when I investigated last year when I ran for state representative, one of the things we noticed was many of the schools did not have a parent-teacher association on campus. I was just shocked that we don't have parent-teacher organizations established on our campus. Now, is it the school that's causing this organization to fall off, or is it the parents not being involved to the capacity and level that they should, so that the organization is in place and they have the voice?
Yeah.
If you watch on TV, there are a lot of groups, and a lot of groups in a lot of areas where parents are getting involved in our schools and they're dictating what's happening in our schools.
Yeah.
If we stay at home, we are going to allow those with the loudest voices that are dictating what's going on in our schools to flow down to us, and they will be dictating what's going on with our schools, and it's going to be too late.
Right.
And we're going to be fighting an uphill battle.
And then
we got to get involved.
Then they're going to
now.
want to fight and have a problem with it. But had they been involved all along, things might be different, right?
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Yeah, I think, and it sounds like there should be some type of education advocates out there that is trying to make sure these people are involved, well, the parents are involved, and that the PTA does exist and it is thriving. Because again, you know, I think parents are leaving it to the schools to raise their kids, and they're not involved. You have to have a PTA. You have to go to the school. You have to know what's happening with your kids, right?
Most definitely.
Or you lose control. And that's why so much stuff is going on at school, because the parents aren't involved. Not all of them, but a lot of parents aren't involved.
And you got to say, you know, some of us, some of the parents have some students that are doing well in school, making good grades, good conduct, everything. I just want to say to those parents, even though your kid comes home with the good grades and good conduct and everything else, you know, whatever you may be doing at home that may be helping that student perform at the highest level, we need you to come back into school and see if you can give some of that back to the students that are struggling, that may not have that same support in their household. We need the parents to take out that hour, that 2 hours once a week and find out from that school, where can I help? Where can you use me? 1 hour, 2 hours a week. Listen, we spend more time on social media and shopping. We can take 1 hour to 2 hours to tell our principal and tell the teacher in that classroom, is there a student that needs help? Where can I help? And that goes back to those seniors. There's some seniors who have the time that working professional does not have right now, that has that student sitting in that class, we need those seniors to come back to that
Yeah.
classroom and find out how can I help. That is going to make the difference.
Yeah. Some education volunteer program.
We need it. We got to have it.
Okay. So if something like that was to get developed, does it have to pass through some type of approval process outside of the actual school? So if you go to a certain school and say, hey, we've got 10 people willing to be education volunteers, and these 10 people are going to help you in all these different areas, is it possible to go straight to the school with that option?
I can tell you what I did. And I did this during my campaign last year, which was around January of 2022. I went to our new superintendent, Millard House, who set up a meeting with me to have a discussion on these topics that I had already jotted down, and I wanted to know how could we implement them. However, the superintendent was not able to meet with me and had to cancel that meeting with me because I was running for elected office.
Okay.
So that eliminated that. After that, we did not set up another meeting, and I'm unfortunately we haven't done it at this point, and now we're making this change we're making. But I'm going to pursue that again. Whether Millard House is no longer there, I believe he'll definitely meet with me and give me the ins and outs on how I can better assist and how we can implement these things. Or we go to this new board of managers if we have to. But we're going to ask those questions. We definitely went and met with all of the principal of the high schools at that time. We didn't get to every one of the principals at the elementaries and middle schools, but we're definitely doing it now. So, we're asking them, but once again, they have to follow the guidelines that are set up by the school district. So we then decided to go to the school district with our whole list, and they could not meet with us at that time.
Okay.
So we have more work to do, and I'll bring you back what I'm able to find. I will definitely get that information and come back to you.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. Well, I know it's probably too late to turn this around now, but I know a group of teachers, I think, left Houston and went to Austin on some buses, I think, on some charter buses, right? Do you know if they were able to make any type of impact, or do you know what happened with that? I haven't really seen any outcome results on that.
I've been getting emails from my different state legislators who've been inviting different organizations in daily to come up to the Capitol to rally. So I'm not sure which organization you're referring to, but I know I've been getting emails from either organizations and state representatives for different days that they are already over there rallying together to try to protest what is going on and make sure that those who are in power, which unfortunately are the Republicans. The Republicans are in power, and they are dictating what is happening in our community, at our school system, in our neighborhood. And this goes back to everyone who's out there who has the ability to vote. When you do not vote, you vote for the other side. And when they take control, we have no ability for our voice to be as powerful as it could be and should be.
Right.
So this goes back to the entire community out there.
Yeah, you lose your voice.
You must make the time to vote for the elected officials that you want to represent you and you want to fight on your behalf. If you're not going to be over here fighting on your behalf yourself and you don't run for office, pick somebody who you believe will fight for the agenda and the issues that are important to you, because when you don't vote, they win.
Right. This is true. Yeah, you lose your voice. So it's not, like you said, it's not simply I'm not voting. You're voting for something that you're against, perhaps. And with, vicariously, you're voting for something that you're against just by not voting at all. So
that's correct.
But yeah. And a lot of students feel like education has just fallen by the wayside. I hear a lot of students talking and they're saying things are different. We're not learning the same way. Everyone has their opinion on what's happening, but a lot of the students are saying that things are different. And I know that the way the students are learning today is a lot different than the way we were learning when we were in school. You know, we had books, and we had 20 pounds of books that we had to lug between the classes, right?
Yeah,
And now it
most
just seems
definitely.
like it's just an iPad or an electronic version of a laptop, perhaps. But do you think
That's right.
that has anything to do with the children and the way they learn? Because it's so different now. Even the way the teachers are teaching is a lot
Right.
different than the way we were taught. So do you think any of those things make an impact on how the children are learning these days?
You know, I have children in high school now.
Mm-hmm.
I have children, a child now
Okay.
in college and one out of college. So for me, I have listened to them and listened to the evolution of technology and how it's been implemented in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, definitely, I see the difference in how I participated in everything in high school and what was I guess, for my parents anyway, what I was required to do when I got home with my schoolwork. You know, we still make sure we implement those of making sure homework is done and assignments are done,
Yeah.
and we get our messages from the teachers so we know how they're progressing and what they didn't turn in.
Mm-hmm.
we I don't think there's any way for us to eliminate the evolution of technology in education.
Yeah,
And
that's
not only
true.
that, I think we need to get comfortable with it because it is such a big part of their life after school.
Yeah.
So I want it to be implemented. I want them to know how to use it. I want them to know how to properly use it, but also want them to also be fully educated and be able to process everything that we process
Yeah.
and be able
Yeah.
to be a good thinker and strategist and planner
Yes.
on everything they need to do, even with the technology that's there in order to instruct them. And unfortunately, the things that are getting in the way of their
Mm-hmm.
education, whether it's the security in the school, whether it's the crime that's going on, whether it's the drugs that's going on. Listen, one of my ultimate goals, this was on my list also to talk to the superintendent about,
Mm-hmm.
listen, we got to go back into that school. We got to use, I don't care if it's the homeroom that you have for 30 minutes every other day.
Yeah.
We got to start talking about some life skills before these children come out of
Oh,
junior high and high school.
oh my God.
What
Don't get me started
are
on
they
that. That is a
are they
major.
prepared?
That is
Yeah, are they
major. Yes.
prepared to use a credit
Yes.
card and know how that affects them with a car, an apartment,
Yes.
or a home? Are they prepared to deal with what's my choice is going to be
Mm-hmm.
after high school and my career, and how
Yeah.
much is that going to pay, and what kind of lifestyle is that going to allow me to have?
Exactly.
We need to be
Simple
honest and
analysis.
say, are we preparing our children well enough to go out into the world and be successful and prosperous and be the leaders that we need them to be, so we as adults can one day step back and say, you know what, everything's well taken care of.
Right.
They're doing what needs to be done.
Right.
That's what we got to focus on.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to be willing to get back involved and give that hour, give that 2 hours a week. We need to get back involved. Even if we've moved out of the community
Mm-hmm.
and been blessed to move out of that community that was once a low income and lower middle income neighborhood, we need you to come back because those students that are there now still need your input, advice, and experience and expertise for them to
Right.
excel to the next level too.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think that after school programs, what do you think about after school programs? I think that will be a great ad. That will make a good impact on the schools. Maybe the
Right.
schools that are underperforming in HISD, maybe target those schools and open after school programs,
Right.
tutoring and extra help. What
Right.
do you think about that idea?
Hey,
Get those
that sounds like
volunteers in there.
it sounds like a great opportunity. Not only that, you think about it. We have some seniors. I go back to my seniors and retirees.
Yeah.
We have some who would love to make some additional income
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
while they're retired. And some of them don't go out and give what they like to give and do some of the things they like to do and make extra money because they get penalized for bringing home extra money. And
Yes.
this goes back to the
Yes.
laws that are in place now. that is one of the things that I will make sure that we address in our bills, that
Yes.
we don't want to penalize seniors for bringing back to the community and to the school system their knowledge and expertise to help out that classroom that's overcrowded with a teacher
Yeah.
that really needs some assistance. We should not be penalizing a senior and veteran and retired veteran from going back and helping that community and that school out. We've got to fix that.
This is true. This is true. They have to make a penny on the dollar just to be able to come back and
Yeah.
help, right? Can't make too much or their benefits will get reduced or taken, right?
It's senseless.
That's what happens?
It's senseless. They are a jewel to our community, and we need their help. We need them involved, and we can compensate them.
Yeah. And that makes it more of an incentive, which gives it a higher success rate. So, you can't penalize someone for wanting to do good, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You talked earlier about the HISD superintendent being replaced. I saw that that was one of the first things that the TEA wanted to do, was replace the HISD superintendent, and that has happened.
I believe when I watched the report, I believe they mentioned it was definitely going to happen all in June or July. So I don't know if they've immediately given him a specific date that it's going to happen prior to June or July. But I understand that new board of managers and new leadership was coming in, he mentioned, by June or July.
Okay.
So I really have not, watched it every single day, every minute, but been trying to keep up with as much as I can.
Yeah.
And once again, I feel extremely, extremely bad that this gentleman has moved his family to Houston. He has taken his experience and expertise to come and assist us in coming out of a situation we've been in, like I said, for over a decade, and not progressing at the level we could be and should be. And they're doing this. You know what? I really want our Republican leadership to just stop and think. If it was us that were in the minority, how would we want to be treated in our own community, in our own neighborhood, in our own school system? If people just think about doing stuff in a fair manner, in a respectful manner, you know what? This whole state would be 100% better.
100% better.
If we were not looking at who is the loudest voter for us as a state leader, but who is it who lives and works in our community, and I need to help everyone in that community excel. That's what I'm asking for the Republican leadership to do. Come back to being common sense conservatives.
Right.
We need you to be a common sense conservative. We need people who also can be a compassionate conservative. Before the title of Republican or Democrat, let's just all recognize we're Texans.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes into our house in our state of Texas, we're looking for Texans to come together to defend Texans.
Exactly.
Don't separate us now when everything's going right and you're in power.
Right.
While everything is going right and you're in power, remember, your day will come too.
Yes, it will. That's right.
And I want to be able to say to every one of those Republican leaders, when I step into the Capitol in Austin, that listen, even though you're in leadership, your day will come too. Respect me, respect my community, respect the people that brought me here. Know that they are taxpayers that support this state too, and you benefit from that support. Now let's work together for their benefit.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, something has to be done, and we keep getting into this every year. We say this every year. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. And we get these elected officials. People get elected to these new offices, and I don't know if it's just me, but I'm not seeing any major differences. With each election, we have the same problems. And again, I know things can't be fixed overnight, but we should be able to see some type of positive ingenuity or some kind of positive movement going, and I'm just not seeing it. So we need to do something.
There's one thing that I learned. I actually sat on the board of directors for the University of North Texas, where I graduated from, for 8.5 years. And one of the things I pointed out to the leadership on that board was,
Mm-hmm.
and since I was there for an extended period of time, and I went to that university as well.
Okay.
I mentioned to them, I said, it really is sad that I'm here in 2015 or 2019 or 2020,
Uh-huh.
and I'm hearing that our university is dealing with some of the same issues that I was dealing with when I was here in 1996. I said, this makes no sense. And I think just what you said, we have new leadership, we have new board members, and we're repeating sometimes the same problems over and over again. And
Exactly.
we're seeing new young men and women having to deal with these same problems because you know what? We just didn't go in and say, you know what, in 2015, here are our issues.
Yeah.
Which ones are we going to get solved and which ones are not solved? And then go on to the next one. And in 2019, can we look back at 2015 and say, you know what, those issues in 2015 are no longer a problem now. And now there's
Yes.
new leadership.
Yes.
And now we're going from these things to a new set of things. We got to keep fully documenting what we've been able to accomplish,
Yeah.
what we need to do, and we need to pass it on to that next board and to that next
Yes.
set of leadership
Yes.
because we just keep repeating the
Same,
same problems over and over again.
same
And
problem.
and our youth are the ones that are being hurt by it.
They're
It makes
suffering.
no sense.
Yeah, they're suffering from this, and it's not fair to
It
them
makes
at
no sense.
all. And I just think that people, elected officials, get in these positions and they just get complacent. They're like, okay, well, I won. Okay, I'm good now until the next term, and then I'll go out and campaign again. And you know, and it's not fair to our youth. And as you stated, they're the ones that's coming up behind us. They're the ones that we're going to be looking to you know, carry us forward and make things better. And they're just not getting their just due. And it's really, really sad. And we talked about it on all of our election episodes before, but even we're definitely hoping, okay, that you get elected to District 131 as Texas State Representative. But, you know, I think we all should make a collective effort to try to join forces, whether it's on a volunteer basis or part-time paid basis, as you mentioned, for some of the elders or some of the, you know, ex-military, but paid or not, we definitely, I mean, the world is just going to hell in a handbasket, you know, blatantly put. And I think someone definitely needs to step up and do something. So I feel like we need to get these organizations established, whether it's an education advocate or a education volunteer groups for HIS schools and HISD. But we need to do something. So we're looking forward to you getting in office. So we want you to tackle housing. We want you to tackle education. We want you to tackle crime. We need all of that. We need all of that. But I just really feel for our youth in all of those areas. I mean, our youth are impacted by all of those areas. You know, they're going to have to grow up and have somewhere to stay. They're going to have to walk home from school and they have to worry about crime. They have to go to school and worry about education. So something really needs to be done. Something really needs to be done. And I hear a lot of people talking about it, but I just don't see a lot of doing. You know,
and it can
talk without action is just dead. It's nothing. It's dead.
It can be. It can be. And I just got to say, for those elected officials and non-elected officials, city leaders, business leaders like myself, it does not matter. We can go, we need the opportunity. Well, we got to follow the rules to do it first.
Right.
But we got to go into these schools and let these students know that we're here, that these are the things that we've experienced, and here is the advice that we can hand over to them. Those young men and women need us to be involved. If you can donate time to your church, if you can donate time to your fraternity or sorority, if you can do the things with your girlfriends and guy friends for the games and the events, I ask you, please give an hour or two a week to your local elementary, junior high, or high school and ask them, what can we do to help this school and and that student body? And I guarantee you, as your state legislator, I'm coming to get those parents. I'm coming to get those citizens. I'm coming to get those seniors, and we're going to find a way to get you involved and find out how we can get you involved because we really, really need you all.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, wow. We could talk about this all night because there's a lot to talk about. But we're approaching the 45-minute mark. and it's a real sore spot for me because, you know, I have a grandson and we all have children that are impacted by this or going to be impacted by this. So,
Right.
you know, I totally agree. It's up to us. It's up to, you know, the people in our community to try to make a change and do something different and make a difference. So,
Most definitely.
do you have any last words for the Boss Fam that's watching us or the ones that will be watching after the show posts?
Well, definitely. I just like once again to thank you for inviting me. I'd like to thank all of your followers for keeping in contact with you so that we have an outlet to come to as those who want to represent our community and our city and our family, our household, our small businesses.
Right, right.
I'm glad that an outlet like yours is available to me to speak out and let them know that one, these challenges that we're having, we don't just have to shake our head at it and close our eyes and drop our head about it. If there's a problem, there are options and there's a solution.
Right.
And it's that simple.
Yeah.
If we come together to address that there's a problem,
Mm-hmm.
we come up with some options, we can come up with a solution and we can get them solved and we can document it and we can make sure that when we look back 3 years from now, we're not dealing with the same issue because we didn't deal with it 3 years ago.
Right.
And that's what I want to stop. We need to stop elected officials that the only thing they're doing is doing what needs to be done to keep them elected for the 10,000 people that went out and voted when it was 100,000 voters that should have went out and voted.
Thank
We
you.
need people to go out and
Yeah.
vote. We need you to hold your elected officials accountable, including myself when I'm elected. We need to work together. And listen, if you have some ideas that can help better your community, our community, I'm asking you to step up also. I was told that I needed to wait my turn in order to run for office. And I tell you, if you have an idea and if you have some expertise and you have the energy to do some good for your community, do not wait your time. You need to get up now. Let's get the work
Yep.
done.
Get up and do it. I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you again. I would like to have some time with you offline. We're going to put some of these things into action one way or another.
Okay.
So I am going to actually send out a message to my followers and everyone that I think may be interested. And I am going to put together a volunteer group because we have to, like I said, we have to stop talking about it and be about it. So
That's awesome.
I'm definitely going to do that, and I'll reach out to you. I'll circle back with you, and I want you to be involved because we definitely need to do something for our HISD schools, for our schools in the HISD district. We have to do something because this is just getting out of control, and we have to do something. So I would love to partner with you on that aspect and push this vision forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you know what? I just want to add one thing that's also under fire, and it's definitely starting at the education level, is diversity and equity. Mm-hmm. We just had Greg Abbott to come out and announce and make a statement to all of our universities, which being on boards, I'm already hearing it come down from our chancellors and our university presidents that diversity and equity has been halted. All the progress that we have made is trying to be set back, and they are trying to push back all of the progress that we have made. We have to come together. We have to speak out. We have to work together. Do not stay at home and let them wipe away all the progress that we've had. And I got to tell you, two of the organizations that I'm looking to step up and we need to remember to support, NAACP. I believe we've been blessed to have NAACP and all the leaders that back in the civil rights movement did all that they've done from that point prior and after. Yeah. And you know what? When things get good, we forget about supporting that organization because, we just feel things are just good in our life and in our neighborhood and in our church, right? But you want to know something? If there's one organization we need right now, up front, stronger than anyone right now, it's NAACP and LULAC to come together because those are the organizations that we need to support so that we strengthen the diversity and equity opportunities that have been made available to so
Yeah.
many of us
Yeah.
that need to stay in place and grow. And you know what? For those men and women who feel they have been pushed out or ignored
Mm-hmm.
because they don't feel they have been included,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's up to us as men and women of color
Yeah.
to let them know we are all here to work together, to unite together,
There you
to
go.
do the best together as Texans as a whole.
Right. Right.
We
Right.
just need to make sure that the opportunities are always made available to all of us. We
All of
have to
us.
work towards that.
That is correct. I totally agree. Wholeheartedly agree. 100%. 100%.
Thank you again.
Well, thank you so much for those closing comments. I love it. It's been a great interview. Now we just have to go out and try to help make something happen. Okay.
We're gonna
Like
do
I
it.
said,
Please have me back. We're gonna rally the troops. Let's do
yes,
it.
we are. We need to rally the troops, so we need to make a
Let's do it.
change. So,
Let's do it.
all righty. Well, thank you so very much for joining us
Thank you.
tonight, Boss Fam. And thank you, James Guillory, for making yourself available. I know you're traveling, and we really, really appreciate you. And
Yeah.
if you have not seen The Last of Us, we're going to make some changes in our community and do something about it and stop talking about it. Yeah?
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. Have a good evening. And if anyone's going to watch the game, I know a lot of people said, I can't join. I'm trying to catch the game. I'm having a game party. U of H Cougars. So go Cougs.
Go
And
Cougs. That's
yeah.
right.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining. You all have a good night.
Bye-bye. Good
Bye-bye.
night.